Hey everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of the Level Creation Guide for Half-Life. In the last episode, we learned how to create a simple room using the Block and Selection tool. I recommend watching that video first if you haven't. In this episode, we will be learning how to change the appearance of our blocks with textures. Textures are images that the game engine uses to apply to every block in the game. From last episode, our walls are displaying a pink lambda texture on every face. Using J.A.C.K texturing tools, we can change these pink lambda walls to something a little bit more fitting to our atmosphere and vision for our level. The three new tools we'll be learning this episode are the Apply Texture button, Advanced Texture tool, and the Decal tool. First, let's look at the Apply Texture button. This tool is the fastest way to quickly apply a texture to all sides of our block. On the right side of J.A.C.K, there is an image with the Browse button right below. Proceed to click on the Browse button and a window will immediately appear displaying a catalog of textures we can use. Using the mouse scroll wheel or the right page scroll, we can view over 3,000 textures in Half-Life. That's right, 3,000 textures ranging from the simple brick walls to water to Zen cave textures. There's a lot of choices we can make. Once finding a texture you wish to choose, double-click on that texture and the window will immediately close. The texture image will not be present on the right side of J.A.C.K above the Browse button. Use the Selection tool and select the block you wish to texture and hit the Apply Texture button. Bam! The selected block is now textured on all faces. The Apply Texture button offers us a really fast way to apply a texture to a block. However, notice our newly applied texture is not centered on the wall, and we also can't fix it or do any adjustments to the texture. Don't fret, the next tool will give us much more options. The Advanced Texture tool. This tool not only gives us control over what faces of the block we want textured, but it also allows us to manually stretch, shrink, and move our textures in most directions. When we click on the Advanced Texture tool, a window will immediately pop up with many blank options. We must first select the face of the block we wish to texture before it offers us any options. Everything in this window gives us control on how our texture is presented. We can shift, scale, and rotate the texture. Hovering your mouse over these boxes and using mouse scroll will adjust the numbers. To undo any scaling, shifting, or rotating, press the Reset button right below the rotation selection. Justify is the quick method to shift and scale the textures without messing with the numbers above. Fit stretches the texture to cover the entire face of the selected block. The top, bottom, left, and right moves the texture to the respective position without stretching. The C option centers our texture on the block. Side tip. When building walls that are too large for the dimensions of the texture will begin to repeat. To prevent this, the key is to build the walls, floors, and ceilings according to the texture size. For example, if a texture is 128 units tall, we should expect that if we build anything above 128 units, that texture will begin to repeat. The last option in the window is the Align option. Align allows us to change the direction of which the texture is showing. This is mostly used for door textures to reverse the handles, however it can be very strange. If ever experiencing both the world and face options both checked, place a minus sign before the numbers in the X scale box. This will reverse the direction of the texture without having to troubleshoot the Align option's strange issue. Now that we've covered most of the options in the Advanced Texturing tool, let's center our wall by pressing the C button in the Justifying options. There we go, the texture is now centered on the wall. But I know what you must be thinking. I have to do all this to just get a texture on the wall using this tool? No need to worry, J.A.C.K has us covered. The fast method to texture a block using the Advanced Texturing tool is to select a texture using the Browse button and right-clicking any block face in the 3D view to quickly apply. If you want to quickly add the same texture to other blocks in the level, select the block with the texture you wish to use and right-click other blocks to quickly apply that texture. This speeds up the process and allows us to quickly texture without meddling too deep in the options. Remember, you can always use Ctrl-Z to undo and Ctrl-Y to redo any action. In most cases, the Advanced Texturing tool is the go-to tool to use for texturing. However, there is one instance where the Apply Texture button is more useful, the Null Texture. This is one of the several unique textures that J.A.C.K offers. I will go over these in more detail in future episodes, but this texture is called null and is the most common one of them all. The null texture is used to save system resources. It tells the game not to show all the block faces it's applied to. Using this on all the block faces that the player won't be able to see in-game is the key to using this texture. Many level designers will use the Apply Texture button to apply the null texture to all sides of the block before actual texturing. While most computers will be able to play Half-Life without any hiccups in performance, the null texture will be mostly helping us reduce the time it takes to compiling our level. With everything that we've learned so far, let's first use the null texture on all the walls, floor, and ceiling. Using the selection tool, select all the blocks in our level in the 3D view and then go to the right-hand side of J.A.C.K and hit Browse. Then type in the search bar null, then double-click null and hit the Apply Texture button. There, all our blocks are null textured, and now let's get to the fun part. Let's move ourselves into the room using the 3D view. Click on a wall and use the Advanced Texturing tool. Hit the Browse button and select a texture. Once chosen, right-click on the wall to apply the texture. Remember, use the Justify options to align the texture properly. Use the same method and apply a texture to the floor and ceiling. Great job, we have successfully textured our first room. The last texture tool we'll be learning this episode is the Decal tool. The Decal tool is very important because it allows us to add details to our world using a special set of textures called decals. First, select the Decal tool and hit the Browse button on the right-hand side of J.A.C.K. The texture catalog window will open and we must select a decal tab on the top of the window to access the decals. This tab contains all the decals we can choose from. Double-click the decal you wish to choose. The catalog will close and now we can apply the decal against walls, floors, and ceilings. Give it a shot and remember, Ctrl-Z to undo and Ctrl-Y to redo. Be sure to apply the decal on a flat surface or it may not apply and show a pink box indicating that it's not applied properly. Sometimes the decal tool can be picky, but it's worth using to add blood to walls and some minor details to your level. Good work, you have learned J.A.C.K's texturing tools. Thanks everybody for watching the video. Join me next time as we'll be learning about the entities and how to playtest our level.